So it's October and it's the perfect time to check out horror movies, thrillers, suspense movies. This is a great time of the year. I love Halloween, one of my favorite seasons. So I definitely enjoy watching horror films, checking out old and new ones alike. One of my guilty pleasure Halloween films actually is Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, which came out in 1982. Now, this film is far from great. It's not a great film, but it's one of those films that I love. It's a fun film for me, so that's why I'm going to be talking about that. So John Carpenter's original plan for the Halloween movies was after Halloween 2, the character of Michael Myers was going to be retired. And every Halloween afterwards, there was going to be a different film, an anthology series of films, kind of like The Twilight Zone or American Horror Story today, where every season is a different story. And the game plan was, with Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, it has nothing to do with Michael Myers. We're going to focus on a different story, a new story. And then Halloween 4 would be a new story, Halloween 5, whatever. Based off the box office disappointment of Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, the company and John Carpenter decided to bring back Michael Myers, which is why Halloween 4 is called The Return of Michael Myers. But despite the film not being successful at the box office, I enjoy it. It's so cheesy, it's so bad that it's good. So I'm going to let you know a few of the reasons why I enjoy this film so much. So let's get it. Hi, I'm Lenny, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about the film Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, which came out in 1982. Like I mentioned in the beginning, this has nothing to do with Michael Myers. Now, this film bubbles and oozes with straight up 80s cheesiness, and there's a lot of things going on in here that I'm just going to discuss. I guess you could say that this is going to spoil the film. So if you've never seen Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, and you plan on seeing it and you don't want to know what happens, maybe you should check that film out and then come back and watch this video and let me know what you think afterwards. The movie actually begins with these early 80s computer graphics. It looks like something being created on an Atari 2600 or the Commodore 64. You can just kind of see lines being created on the screen. And what it turns out to be is this pumpkin. It's a pumpkin graphic, a jack-o'-lantern. So in the beginning, when we're getting the pumpkin being slowly created by this old-ass 80s graphic design program, we get a bunch of flashing white light on the screen. And it's for a good couple of seconds. It's not like for 1 second or two. It's enough to produce a seizure. In the 80s, they must not have cared if people were just going to have random seizures from this flashing light going off, because there's no warning to prepare you for it. It's just there. It's like bum, 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 bum. And the next thing you know, you wake up on the floor, you're drooling, spitting all over yourself because you just passed out, had a seizure. So it's October 23rd in the film. The film begins at night. There's this guy running down the street. He's got a jack-o'-lantern or a pumpkin face mask in his hand, and he's being chased by these two individuals in a car. The guy with the mask in his hand, he's running. He's looking for a place to hide. The one guy that gets out of the car to track our runner with the mask, it looks like Agent Smith, dressed up like a businessman, or he's about to go to church. Very emotionless, no emotion on his face, and they're obviously hunting for the guy that's trying to hide, that has the jack-o'-lantern mask. And he is found, and the guy in the suit is trying to choke the guy with the mask. And the guy with the mask luckily is able to move like a weight chalk that's holding up a car, because he's hiding in a junkyard or a garage, I guess it is. So the car rolls back and squishes the guy in the business suit that's trying to strangle him, and he dies. Like, there's really no expression. He doesn't yell out, he doesn't scream, he just gets like pinched in between the car, and he's just like, my stocks. So our homeboy, our runner with the mask, gets up, he escapes, he's running, and he runs to a gas station. And so it's still at night. There's this black attendant who's running the gas station. Guy with the mask runs in, and he's like, they're trying to kill us all. They're trying to kill us all. So our runner with the jack-o'-lantern or the pumpkin mask runs into this gas station and passes out and collapses with the attendant. the attendant takes him to the hospital. So good civilian, good for him taking him to the hospital, which would be kind of risky nowadays because he's a black dude who's running a gas station and he's just taking this white guy to the hospital who's all passed out and whatnot. It looks kind of shady, but our runner with the mask is taken to the hospital and he is going to be checked out to make sure that he is okay. The funny thing about this is when they check him in and they put him on the hospital bed and they do whatever test they're going to do, when our main character, Daniel Chalice, played by Tom Atkins, they're checking the patient out, but they allow him to still hold on to this mask that he was brought in with. Now, I'm not a doctor, and this is just something that kind of cracks me up. It's a small thing, but how do you know that he didn't get sick from the mask? Maybe there's some kind of shit on the mask that's making him sick. Maybe it's contaminated or something. Are you going to really allow this guy that came in that's sick and mysteriously ill and you can't tell what's going on, you think he's crazy, to keep the one item that he came in with clutching and just allow him to hold it like a whoopee, like a blanket? I found that kind of weird. Daniel Chalice, he is the main character and he's played by 80s actor Tom Atkins. Now, Tom Atkins has this beautiful 80s style porn mustache going on, which I guess a lot of the male actors in the 80s, especially the early 80s, had. So he could probably do a pretty good job on a mustache standoff against Tom Selleck. So I don't know who you think has the better mustache, Tom Atkins or Tom Selleck, but boy, could those guys stash it up, that's for sure. Jack-o'-lantern mask guy is checked in, he's laying in the bed, the mask clutched to him, and now we see one of the Agent Smith stockbroker looking dudes, church minister guys in the beginning of the film chasing him, coming to the hospital. Since this isn't a horror film and it's at nighttime, the hospital is barely staffed, so this guy is able to easily wander into the patient's room with no one seeing him and basically break his skull by going through his eye socket, and he leaves. And then, of course, a nurse comes later after the deed has already been done and sees the strange guy leaving the room, screams, which makes up our main character Daniel as he was trying to get some sleep, sees this guy leaving, chases him outside, and Agent Smith, stockbroker, librarian guy, gets into his car, pours gasoline on himself, starts himself on fire, and then the car explodes. What I love about this scene is there's no expression or sense of worry on Dan's face, and he's a doctor. He doesn't even try to get to the car to see maybe if he can pull the dude out or if he's still alive. It's just kind of, he sees the car explode, it's on fire, and he's just like, damn. Well, that guy's probably dead. No one's panicking, no one's in shock of what they just saw. So I guess this happens a lot at this hospital. Roll up, murder somebody, pour gasoline on themselves, car explodes, and it's just a typical Thursday night at the hospital. So the next day after Jack-o'-lantern pumpkin mask guy has been murdered, his adult daughter, Ellie, comes to ID the body and find out what happened. What happened to her dad? How did her dad just mysteriously die? Meanwhile, Dan is at a bar doing some day drinking. His wife are divorced. They have 2 kids, and he's a pretty shitty father. This dude, throughout this whole film, keeps calling his ex-wife and keeps saying that he's going to catch up with the kids on the next day. He's sitting at the bar, there's a television screen up above him, and you see a commercial advertising the film Halloween. So you see within Halloween 3 a commercial advertising John Carpenter's Halloween, which is very cool. So that's meta. After this scene, our 2 main characters meet. So Ellie and Dan meet up, and they decide that they are going to investigate the mysterious death of Ellie's father. None of these individuals are detectives, but they take it upon themselves not to call a detective agency or the police, but they are going to solve this case Scooby-Doo style by themselves and figure out what's going on. So this leads them to the California town of Santa Mira, and Santa Mira is a Irish farming community, and it is where the Silver Shamrock novelty factory happens to be located. Now, Silver Shamrock is the company that makes the mask that our runner with the jack-o'-lantern mask in the beginning was clutching and holding so tightly. It's also the company that you have been seeing commercials for throughout the film. They have taken the child nursery song London Bridge and used it to incorporate into their advertising ad, where they have 3 masks. They have a witch, a skeleton face, and the one that we've been seeing a lot of so far, a pumpkin face or our jack-o'-lantern mask. And the theme song is very catchy. It's counting the days down to Halloween. 8 more days till Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. 8 more days till Halloween, Silver Shamrock. You'll hear this song throughout the whole film, and it will get stuck in your head, and then you'll be singing it on days where it's like July, and you'll be singing this friggin' song that's stuck in your head because it's catchy. What's funny about when Ellie and Dan roll into Santa Mira, both characters are white. I mean, color is not an issue, it's not a problem. But since this is a small community town, a town of Irish settlers, and you have the Shamrock company based within this town, when Ellie and Dan drive through, basically everyone in their homes and in the storefronts and everywhere is watching them. They're just watching the car drive down Main Street, which is kind of interesting. There's closed circuit cameras kind of focusing on Main Street also. You're watching the car as it drives through. Only reason I get a chuckle out of this scene is because, again, both of the main characters are white, and everyone in this town is obviously white. I would love to meet a black Irish person. I think that'd be very, very cool. But the way that they're getting looked at reminds me of how I get looked at when I enter a store, watching like you're gonna take something. Shortly after Ellie and Dan arrive into Santa Mira, they are posing as a married couple so that they can investigate the Shamrock company to figure out what happened to Ellie's dad, because they find out that Ellie's dad picked up a supply of Shamrock masks because he was a store owner. Why the sudden death after going to the Shamrock company? What was he raving about when they're gonna kill us all? So what's going on?